day 2 of the November 98 7-day retreat in Springwater. A beautiful spring day in Springwater. Could even hear the faint sound of a peeper this morning. These are these little frogs created in the pond. Let's talk a bit this morning about effort. It's come up in private and group meetings. Effort and our general dismay at having so many thoughts. Not much improvement over the decades. One person saying, I'm really down on myself for being such a poor meditator. I have no discipline. The mind is all over the place. And thought says, I lack a foundation. I really haven't had this formal training that other people have had. Maybe this is what I should engage in to be more concentrated, not drift all over the place. And at times when I talk about this presence being effortless, without needing to be brought about by concentration, people will say, some people, well, it's easily said, but you yourself had formal training for many years. How can you say that this didn't help you in being more present, or whatever one imagines that is going on for me? Actually, without meaning to pat myself on the back, there was a good deal of concentration. When I started this, concentration was never my problem. And over the years, observing people, listening to people, or reading, one can practice concentration for years and years and decades and millennia. Become highly concentrated, able to perform miracles, levitate, fly through space. But does one know this instant what one really is? Not as a person. It's so hard to put into words. But when it's clear, it is clear that it is not the product of concentration. I'm not knocking concentration. It has its great function in many arts and jobs and professions. In the kitchen, if one is not concentrated, one may burn the food. Acrobatics. You name it. Bookkeeping, you need to be concentrated, or else you enter. We once got a check which instead of reading $200, read $200,000. That bookkeeper was not concentrated. But you see, what do you want to get with your concentration? The ability to control the mind? That's possible. Concentrating on a spot in the head, on the tip of the nose, or 5 inches or 4 inches, we were told, below the navel. You concentrate on that. And what do you have? What do you get? You get a concentrator. All of this effort, which is sponsored by the thought of getting something, becoming something or getting someplace, reinforces in subtle and sometimes not so subtle ways this sense of me, being somebody, arriving someplace, or lacking something. These are all ideas, deeply programmed and reinforced in the human mind. What foundation do we lack? Of course, anybody wishes to experiment with concentrations, please do so. It is a good training for the mind. But that training of the mind does not tell what we are. This moment of no one there to do anything, or be anything, or become anything, or to arrive any place. There's no place to arrive. The foundation is already there for each one of us, and it's the same foundation for all of us. One foundation. Of presence, emptiness, wholeness, freedom, unbounded love, undivided love, non-specific love, which does not exclude loving a person in our conventional sense. So, how to come upon this foundation, which is already here, it's always been here. It has no beginning. Beginning and end is time which is thought produced. Can we be clear about that? How to make it clear that beginning and end and getting someplace and being somebody and a foundation that I lack or that I must get is all thought produced. How to make that clear for ourselves? Can we see and agree in the seeing that thinking about tomorrow, which will be the third day of the retreat, and there will be, just a moment, kasha and sweet potatoes, which one may hate or love. It's a product of the mind right now. There is no kasha, there is no sweet potatoes. Tomorrow is a thought. Can we see that instantly? My future in which I will be enlightened is a thought. Can we see it instantly? A thought away from this present moment of no time when thought doesn't stir. The future of my health, my husband's or wife's health, is a thought. You can say, wait a minute, no, this is not just a thought. There's some reality to it. What is the reality of my future health, his or her future health? I don't know. If the mind doesn't stir and imagine and fantasize and paint pictures based on its knowledge acquired in the past, where is the future? Where is the past without memory? Can we see this right now and rest for a moment at ease in a present which is not even a present? What is it? before the name comes up, the word, the description. What is it? This freedom of being, which could just be beautiful, inspiring words, but for me right now they're just expressions of something which cannot truly be described. It may be the absence of thoughts, or there may be lots of thoughts, depending on the whole network of associations and memories that are brought up with one thought, one notion, and this incredibly reactive and sensitive, unfathomable human body responding in a way that we can make ourselves some pictures of, or maybe some X-ray pictures of. But it is palpable, experienceable, and yet not truly knowable. This instant reaction to one thought, about having too many thoughts, the dismay, the negative feelings about oneself. This person saying, I'm really down on myself for my sloppiness. I'm using the word, he didn't say that. Scooting all over. Fantasy doing it. We say, I'm doing it, and then we feel bad about myself, but it's just happening. There's nobody doing it. But this powerful thought that it shouldn't happen to me anymore after so many years. How can I get better at this matter of living less with thoughts, more with presence, all the ideas formulated? Can we begin to discern these things arising on their own due to past impressions, past training, past DNA memory? It's also memory. DNA inheritance, all memory. And no one really doing it, that this is the biggest network of thoughts gripping this human being, that I am doing this, I could do it better, I could prevent it, I am at fault, or I'm good at it. And yet, no matter what the thoughts project, and the body reacts to it faithfully in very real seeming sensations and emotions. No matter what this network produces, there's no one who is bringing up thoughts or reacting to them. It happens in a way too miraculous to comprehend. After this person talked to me, and other people say these things all the time. It happens in every retreat, in and out. Why so many thoughts? I'm a hopeless case. Or, I'm all right here, but wait till I get back home. Then there will be all the old stuff. How can I be better then? Do it better, be more disciplined, or whatever. What came up in memory was a poem that I loved reading in old Zen center days when I was starting to give talks. It was by a Zen master, a beacon in the Zen history, lived about 1,200 years ago, predated Wenang, from whom we read at the end of every retreat. His name was, he predated Wang Po. His name is Wenang. I wasn't concentrated. Wenang, also known as the sixth patriarch of Zen, had a fascinating life story. Already as a boy, he heard somebody recite or read part of the Heart Sutra, which were the Buddhist scriptures. I don't know which particular passage it was. Maybe form is only emptiness. Emptiness is no other than form. And something popped in that mind of this boy. And he went to seek out a Zen teacher who recognized his potential immediately. Also recognized the potential stress and strains in the monastery, in the community, among the staff. There could be jealousies. So he had him pound rice someplace away from the general monastery grounds. And so forth. You can read the story yourself. I used to be part of a talk, reading that story and savoring it and making some comments on it. So later on, when he became the sixth patriarch, the fifth patriarch, gave him the robe and bowl and advised him to get to the mountains and hide because he would probably be pursued by jealous monks who would think that this was a wrong transmission. So many years after this, he came back out of the woods, had his own monastery. A monk came to him and read him the following poem. That's what people used to do in meetings. They would say something or read a poem in order to present their attainment, their understanding. This is what this monk said. Wo Lun has skillful means enabling him to cut off all thoughts. In the face of circumstances, his mind is not aroused, and daily, monthly, wisdom grows, to which Wei Nang is alleged to have replied. Wei Nang has no skillful means. He does not cut off all thoughts. In the face of circumstances, his mind is often aroused. So how can there be growth of wisdom? Dropping the whole thing of what should be. And one can hear it in this poem, the first poem, associated with one's skills goes somebody who has those skills, and the pride or arrogance, or maybe less than pride, but being somebody worthy. But what are we really? Is that our real interest in this matter? To come upon our true being without deception, not kidding ourselves. Maybe one isn't interested in this. Quite a number of people tell me, oh, I've dropped this thought of getting enlightenment. All I'm interested is in relaxing, being at ease, finding quiet, undisturbed quietness, undisturbed even by a talk. A talk can be very disturbing. Can it? Is it? That's good. I shouldn't be saying that, but I did. So, our interests may vary, and they may vary from one moment to the next. They may change. And this is not a place in which we try to mold ourselves according to a preconceived path and preconceived practices. and stages. I remember in Zen training, there wasn't very much talk of stages, but here and there you would find a book in which there were these 5 different stages mentioned. And I don't mean the ox herding pictures right now. I mean, I can't remember them, but it really grabbed this thinking mind. What are these stages? And I tried to figure it out. Of course, was an exercise in headaches, trying to figure out what stages and what are they. Of course, the main interest is what stage am I in? And then dropping this whole thing of stages. Dropping, not to be picked up again. Even though it is very prevalent in many traditions to diagnose or predict stages that one will go through. Can one see and feel how a conceptualization is already a form of straitjacket? Thought is so powerful. Thinking what I am now, what I will be, so powerful. And the judging of myself, of what I am and will be. Not to be underestimated, the power of such thoughts to affect and influence our being and prevent an openness which is not to be conceptualized, which defies all description. So where does effort come in to this work? We talk about the work of this moment. And it's a tricky word, well aware of it. Because work in the conditioned mind is associated with efforts, goals, training, getting better. I forgot what question I asked. Did I ask what? How does effort relate to the work of this moment? If we may use this description lightly, ever so lightly, permeable, not cast in stone. Because it turns out not to be work in the conventional sense of I have to bring effort, I have to. Well, we talked about it in the beginning, get someplace, attain something, enter a path, pursue a path, stick to a path. So what is effort? That question came up yesterday in a group meeting. Is there too little effort spent away from retreat? Because as one leaves the retreat, maybe for 2-3 weeks, there's still a swinging and reverberation of some presence and silent witness with things and people, and then it sort of abates, and the old patterns are well in place again. Old patterns of me and you, my territory and yours, my rights, my needs, my wants. Clashing with yours, possibly clashing, usually clashing. Maybe we have learned to be polite about it. So could I, asks the mind, could I make some effort to keep this retreat silence and retreat witness going in my daily life? Only then does it seem to make any sense. The quietness and stillness one cherishes and savors, to let that flower in one's daily life. So maybe there's less reactiveness and more stillness, withness, with people and conditions and situations and oneself. What to do about it? There's a real goodwill in people. They want to do something about it, to bring about more peacefulness, harmony, goodwill toward all humanity. How can I bring it about? Is there any effort that can be undertaken? Because I would like this. It would be good for everyone, not just for me, for the family, the group, the nation, the world. I wonder whether thoughts like these and desires, honest desires for a better life for all of us, still take us away from illuminating, thoroughly illuminating what we're in, the mess we're in. I almost said that, and now I did say it. The conflict, the stress. Is that possible? In the midst of the mess, of the chaos that we live in so much of the time, we're so suffering, feel so victimized by circumstance. So often envious of others who've got it better. I'm not mentioning the joyous and pleasurable moments that occur in our lives. They present no problem. Is it possible to wake up in the midst of the chaos and not immediately put oneself down for being in it or dreaming of a world without chaos, but what is the way of being with this? Not in the future, but now. A quieting down in the midst of the hurricane. There's this quiet spot in the midst of a hurricane, the eye, we call it. Can that eye of the hurricane be found and touched right now? Reveal itself, whichever way you put it. And that time and again coming upon the eye of the hurricane, touching it, may replace the chaos with some simple awareness, attention, beingness. Not something spectacular, because the debris is still flying. Or is flying. Let's drop that word still. It implies time, that with time it will not fly. We don't know. Is that a challenge? To find in the midst of chaos this point of observing, beholding the whole thing, even though it may not be pretty or blissful or inspirational. Listening, being there, open, even though it feels so closed. Openly watching the closedness. Does that make sense? It still implies a separation of me and my openness or closeness, or me the observer, and what is being observed. That's what language does. And that's what judgment does. If there's a thought this shouldn't be, or it should be overcome, should be better, then there is a judging observer. Do you see that? This is hard work, not to drift off, but to stay with the talk, to look and listen together. It is a different energy from the energy of drifting. And it's made possible in a situation like this. Even though maybe day 2 is too early, I don't know. Maybe not. These are all ideas. To be here, no matter what. Actually, this is what's happening anyways, only the imagination is someplace else. Can one realize the choicelessness of being here? Even though the imagination wants to project videos of better places. And being here is not a pronounced effort to relax. If there's tension, that's what's here. But abstain from defining it, from knowing it. We know too much of what is totally unknowable. So to be with what's there and abstain from labeling it, knowing it. No one outside of it, no one who has it or is responsible for it. That's all imagination. The fact is what? That we need to listen, not know it. Listen and attend in a new way, which is not really teachable. Someone can be engaged in it, do it, but does that convey itself? Can we sort of begin to vibrate together in this new listening? Maybe yes, maybe no. Maybe not this time. Maybe next time. I don't know. And then if you ask me, well, give me a practice that I can practice this listening, that I can get there. I really want to listen properly. Well, then listen. Let's listen, alone and together. That's the only practice that will bring it about. Doing it, and doing it may increase the odds of its happening again. Because this body, very pliable, very malleable, influenceable, changeable, learns new ways of conducting energy, conducting itself in this open listening than it does in its conventional listening, at different channels used and operating. I don't know anything about it, but it must be so. One can feel the difference between an attentive being and an absorbed, thinking, worrying being. There are different physical sensations. And very likely, the more the body regulates itself in attention, the more it learns about that. But it's something that cannot be put into a stated practice. The real thing happens, and happens again, and happens again. maybe in coming here together, maybe in being at home alone. I have no theory about it. And to say a parting word, unless this effortless being is here, and effortless means no me pushing for something. The pushing me is exposed as a thought, an unnecessary, disturbing thought. It's exposed in looking. Unless that is taking place right now, there'll be some kind of effort made by the body-mind, because that's what it has learned since day one, to make an effort. Maybe not since day one, but very quickly channeled and educated into this effort-making path. It's so pervasive, it's amazing. The conviction. And yet, see, there is so much misunderstanding, and I'm sure things will come up again in meetings. People saying, well, there is an effort in sitting here quietly, even if I don't think about enlightenment and what I could get. I've seen through that. But even to come here, to get the house in order, to get the work caught up. Some people work hard before they can fly or drive to retreat. And then here, sitting here, there's a desire that says, get up, I don't want to sit, I want to enjoy myself, I don't want to have pain in my legs. Or the boredom, I don't want to be bored, I want something more exciting to happen. And then to stay put just to find out how it is not to go with a desire, not because it's bad, but to experience that directly. A desire arising and its tremendous seductiveness. One can already see oneself doing something else and see that it is thought-induced desire. At least the thought and imagination maintains the desire. And staying here. To experience this. It seems like a fork in the road and then staying here. Going neither this way nor that way. Even though the pull is experienced of going this way or that way. It's very physical and of course also very mental. What is it to stay here? Not because it's better, because staying here right now reveals the whole landscape clearly. It's a lot of energy. But not to get someplace, but to explore what is going on here, right now. Because it's there. It's not imagined. Maybe this was too complicated. We can take it apart again some other time. Or maybe it's very clear. There's no need to brood over it, because this moment is already new and fresh, uncontaminated by what was a minute ago. end here for today.